Hey gamers, if you like a game of drafting followed by strategic movement, then you're going to want to check out The Fog: Escape from Paradise. Let's take a look at a little bit of how it plays. In this game, players will be trying to get as many of their islanders to the boats as possible to score the most points. The first phase of the game is that players will be drafting the islanders that are out at the board and putting them on some of their differently colored stands here, and that way you will know which islanders are yours as for when you move into the second phase, which is the movement phase. Players can do various different types of movements with their islanders, including hopping over others, swapping with others, or just moving into an empty space, which is called a run, and more. And basically, again, they are just trying to get them up to the shoreline and then onto the appropriate boat. Islanders can go on any boat, despite their color, but they do have to be in a matching position. But if they do get on the correct colored boat, they will also get additional points from that. And then they will also get points depending on how far up on the boat that their position is as well. Players are going to be interacting on the board and trying to stop others from getting farther and getting onto those boats, or just being able to get onto boats before other players. And then the turn track will also determine when the fog moves. So every time that this cube here passes over one of these gray cubes, the fog cube will move up on the board, and when it finally comes up to here, the fog will move, and anybody who is still left behind in those spots will no longer be able to get to the boats because they've died, and they will be worth negative points at the end of the game for whoever owns them. At the end of the game, again, you will score all of those people that you got on the boat, depending on if they are the right color of islander on the right colored boat, and you'll also score points that you earned during the game for getting them on the boat as well, and the player with the most points wins. This game definitely looked great on the table. I really enjoyed the overall look of it and how you had to then draft all the people and really strategically draft those people to make sure that you weren't getting too many that had the same abilities on them, or that were too close together, because you could get blocked off and then lose a lot of those people all at once. So it seems like a very simple game because you are just drafting and then moving people forward with the intention of getting onto those boats, but there is a lot of strategy to be had. I also did take a look specifically at the deluxe version, and so this one had a lot of different options available, which I thought was really neat. You could have timers for your turns, you could add in more or less boats depending on maybe how many players you had or just how long you wanted the game to be, to have just more options for getting those people up to the boats. There was a lot of different things that you could try out, which I thought was neat because a lot of them were small, so it was really easy after you already learned the game to kind of swap things in and out for those options. I did think that the game was a little bit too long for my liking, even if you played the smaller map, even if you played with less players. With less players, you often have to play multiple colors, which I am not the biggest fan of either, so I did kind of prefer it with 3 or 4, but 3 also depends on which map you're using, because sometimes you also still have to use more than one color for each person, but overall, like I said, I did think that the game lasted just a little bit too long for what you were doing. It got a little bit repetitive after some of the turns, but I like the mechanism of the fog coming up and like kind of being a timer for the game, and you're trying to get people away from the fog, even if it's just for one extra turn, so you can maybe get them to more safety. But I really liked also the scoring in the game as well, and how if you got farther up the boat, that was a lot better for you. If you got them on the right color boat, that was better for you. But at the same time, I did feel after a couple of plays of trying the strategy that it was definitely beneficial just to rush a lot of people up and not try to maneuver people as much that were in the back. If you lose a couple of people, that's kind of almost necessary. It's kind of almost just inevitable. But if you just rush a lot of people onto the boats, then you're more likely to score a lot more of those points and take up some of those spots that other people can't get into them. But overall, I thought it was a pretty cool game. And again, it had a lot going on, so if you like a game with a lot of options, it might be something for you. But you can check out my full thoughts on the blog today and see if this would be up your alley.